welcome. Happy Election Day. Because the only reason why it's happy is tomorrow it will all be over. Take all the signs down. Stop running the commercials. And we can all get back to normal. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Legal, lawful, constitutional tender. Things that when you vote for these people, they are supposed to uphold. But apparently that's it's just a suggestion. You know, it's like I tell my younger son, he's 15. And he's he has his permit. Okay, so we need to teach him how to drive. And as most of you know, I got two kids. My older son, you know, some people are born with different abilities. He was obviously born a great driver. He's the best driver in the family. Matter of fact, he was the best driver in the family before he even got his license. Unfortunately, my younger son is the worst driver in the family. That's saying something because I'm a driver. He thinks the speed limit signs are merely suggestions. And that's just kind of how I feel about this political process. And it's all coming to an end today. We'll talk very briefly about it. I have to apologize, though, because today I didn't want to talk politics. I had it all set up so I could do something different. And I know that God has a sense of humor because every time I make plans, and obviously I don't feel like that I'm special and somehow God is interacting solely in my life, but it is humorous. Today we were supposed to have New Genesis Health, a.k.a. the Green Herb. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the Green Herb, they've been on the program in Johnstown, the mothership up there, KHNC, for almost as long as we have. And way before weed was legal in Colorado, that was their name, the Green Herb. And then when marijuana got legalized, they were inundated with potheads at their facility. So they had to change their name to New Genesis Health. They were going to come on today. We're going to do a whole big thing about natural health and all those things. And unfortunately, the emergency came up there. They had some things they had to deal with. It happens. They're busy. I get it. So consequently, they're not going to be on. I promise you I will get them on in the near future, and I apologize. You know, we probably had normally there's only like one or two people listening, and today there's probably going to be 4 or 5 because of it. And I apologize to all 4 or 5 of you for not having them here today. We're trying to reschedule. We'll get them on, I promise. Having said that, 800-951-0592. That's our toll-free number. Legal, lawful, constitutional tender, right, as we talked about. Gold and silver, wealth insurance. The website at allamericangold.com, and it's a good one today. Yeah, there's a bunch of different clips out there that are very entertaining, knowledgeable. So make sure you get out there today, check them out, go through all that stuff. There isn't a lot of economic data out today. Obviously, the big thing is the election. Who's going to win what? I would say mainstream thinking is the Republicans will retain control of the House, of the Senate. My bad. And I'm seeing 52-48, something like that. Most people think the Democrats will gain control of the House. I don't know. I've got a feeling, and I have no knowledge. I have no idea what's happening outside of Arizona, and especially when it comes to the House. But I wouldn't be shocked tomorrow if the Republicans held both, albeit a small margin. I wouldn't be shocked. And then again, if they came out and said the Democrats got both, yeah, I'd be a little surprised. But I probably wouldn't be shocked either. I have no idea. They've spent, think about all the money that these people have spent. I mean, I guess it's a boon to GDP, right? We may get a little spike. I mean, I don't know what it costs to run all these commercials on the television, but I got to believe it's not cheap. And they're running all day long, all over the place. But nonetheless, and you know what? I will say this. You know, and Ramon and I were talking before we got on today. All of those signs on the streets, do they help? I mean, are we really voting for somebody because you're like, hey, I saw a sign next to my... I was at the light at Scottsdale on the 101, and I saw a sign. I don't know, maybe. You know what? Somebody must have done a study somewhere that said that helped you, because I guess if you don't have signs, then you're a nobody. And I guess now somehow we've gotten into this ridiculous world of how many signs can I have? And every election period, I'm like, man, I wish I was in that business. But then again, after it's over, then maybe I don't wish I was in it. But I don't even know. You know what? They're probably, and I wouldn't doubt it. You probably got to get your sign order in now for them to be ready for 2020. Who knows? 800-951-0592. Got a bunch of different stuff we're going to try to get to today in the program. Talking about, Treasury auctions. I'll tell you how we did yesterday. Something a little shift from what we've seen in the past. We'll bring you that up to speed when we get back. 800-951-0592. And I apologize because I was planning on the Green Herb being here today, and right before the show I found out about it, so who knows what's going to happen today. I could say anything. Like I said, not a lot of economic data out. They had the JOLTS report, and that's a fancy acronym for how many job openings are there. I guess, you know, they data mine Monster and Jobbing and Craigslist. I don't know, right? I'm sure. Oh, I guess I do know because that's what they do. Less than last month. Still a lot. There's like almost 7 million jobs out there. None of them pay anything, but they're out there. But that was down a little bit. No big effect. Nothing's really doing anything. Everyone's going to wait, and somehow what happens tonight with the election is going to dictate what's going to happen in the future. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not. It actually probably doesn't matter one bit who wins. And not probably. It doesn't. I wish it did. Wouldn't it be great if it did? If we could just vote for the right people, whoever they may be. All of a sudden, we could get rid of budget deficits. Could you imagine? You know, and it's so funny because now nobody even talks about stuff like that. You know, in the 90s, we got the fake talk, right? We got the fake talk, mostly from the Republicans, that they were going to balance the deficit, the budget. They were going to lower the, but at least, hey, we're not going to go into any more debt. You know, that was when the debt was like $4 and $5 trillion. And of course, now it's what, $22 trillion and counting. By this time next year, we won't be talking about 23. I wish. We're going to be talking about 24. The year after that, we're going to be talking about, I don't know, either 26 or 27. The year after that, we're probably going to be talking about 30. And all of them sitting there seamlessly. Now we don't even hear about, no one talks about balanced budgets. What do we get now? Now we don't even get anyone to say anything about it. I don't even think anybody's even talked about it. Because they already know. See, this is the problem. Is they already know what's going to happen. It doesn't matter who we vote for. Now, will it matter? Will we feel better if the Republicans retain control of both houses? If you're a Republican, then yes, you'd feel better. Would the Democrats feel better if they controlled both? Of course they would. Is it going to change the division that America faces today? Not a bit. Matter of fact, one way or the other, here's what I'm going to predict tomorrow. Somebody's going to be doing a lot of crying tomorrow. That's what I don't know who, but somebody will be. But having said all of that, when we sit here and we think about, okay, what does the next 5 to 10 years hold for us? And that's not that long. You know, I think about my youngest son and my 15-year-old. It seems like yesterday. Right? Well, you know, some days it seems like it's been way too longer than 15 years when you want to just grab him by the back of his neck. But it goes by quickly. And I think about, okay, he's got, after this year, okay, so he's got, you know, this is his sophomore year. He's got 2 more years of high school, 4 years of college, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was 6 or 7. He can be whatever he wants. Is he going to be a doctor? Is he going to be a lawyer? I don't know, but will he be done in 4 years? Maybe not. But I just started. Let's just say that 4 years. That's 6 more years from today when he's going to graduate from college. We will be looking at a budget deficit somewhere between $2 and $3 trillion. I'm talking about the little number. We're going to be looking at a Social Security trust fund that is going to be running out of money. You know that semi-annual report the Social Security Administration puts out every 6 months? They're not going to be saying 6 years from now the trust fund's going to run out in 2034 or 2032 or 2030. And everybody that we elect, and we're going to have a bunch more elections between now and then. And it won't matter who we pick. The math problem. That's the other funny thing. My younger son, he's a genius when it comes, I don't know. I think he's a genius when it comes to math. He's better at it than anybody. And here's the funny part. You don't need to be that smart. A 4th grader could do the math. That's how simple it really all is. It's not rocket science. It's not some fancy economic theory that most of our banking officials grew up with. When we think about the economy and the dollar's an economic theory. That's all it is. Right? It's greed. It's easy. You know why they didn't like gold? Gold's hard. Hey, we can't just, when times get tough, let's just spend more money. I mean, think about that. That's really the solution. And then they come up and they tell us about, oh, well, you know, if you only go 3% of GDP into debt every year, you're okay. Right? Remember that little fantasy that they made up? When did they make that one up? What, the late 80s? Nobody talks about that anymore. They already admit that that I'll call it what it is. The fake number next year is going to be over $1 trillion. That'll put your debt to GDP ratio somewhere around 5%. Here's the problem. That's a fake number. That's not the real number. The real number is going to be very, very close, I don't know, to $1.75 trillion, approaching $2 trillion, which would put the real number closer to 10% of GDP. Well, here's what I'll tell you. By 2020, it will be. That'll be the real number. And when you look at all the other economies in the world, big and small, that's the end. They end up having currency crisis, right? And they can't what? They can't sell debt. They can't do any of these things. And here we are sitting here every 30 to 45, 60 days, I tell you about how the Treasury, bigger auctions. Yesterday's auction, I'll say this, they did sell it. In particular, the biggest piece, and remember, we've got a double whammy week. Remember that show, Pig Bucks, No Whammy? Yeah, we had a double whammy week because the Treasury, in order to make last year's budget deficit look better, ran down their cash. So this week, they're replenishing the cash on top of all the government debt that we need to sell. But let me just tell you what they were doing. We know that the Treasury is going to sell $83 billion this week, $37 billion in 3-year notes, $27 billion in 10-year notes, $19 billion in 30-year notes. And again, remember, that's on top of what we also have to sell for the week. And I'll just tell you about yesterday. They did the 3-year. Okay, and so it was a big number, $37 billion. They sold it. They sold it at a interest rate of just under 3%, 2.988 or something like that. Here's what was interesting. Guess who didn't buy it this time? The foreigners bought it. They did. They showed up. I mean, it wasn't huge, but they were there. The hedge funds, the mutual funds, right, all of those, they didn't show up. Matter of fact, they pulled down the smallest amount ever. Of course, I guess one of the things that you could surmise is, hey, we don't want to buy right now because we think rates are going to go a lot higher. We'll see. But it was a change. Either way, just like we've had for the last, 6 months, this great dollar rally in that whole time as well, the auction wasn't well received. So when you sit there and you start thinking about where we're going, this little election that's going on today isn't going to make a hill of beans a difference. Right? It'll make and it's great for Wall Street. I don't know about great, but they like to, everything, what's going to happen today, right? It's a headline-driven market. And when you look out at earnings, right, we know starting next quarter, the earnings rate is 20-something% earnings growth. Yeah, they'll be down to single digits. And we'll be sitting there looking at a budget deficit that continues to spiral out of control, and then you're going to start within the next 6 years. Here's what I think is going to happen. Rates are going to be back to zero, if not below zero, because one of the only ways I can imagine that we can pretend to keep the game going a little longer is we got to lower the interest payments. Right? We can't pay 3% on $37 billion. Of course, 6 years from now, you know what it's going to be? The auction size is probably going to be $67 billion. And again, would anybody buy it without any interest? I don't know. You know what? I wish I knew. I'll tell you right now, I don't know. Interest rates are either going to be zero or negative, or they're going to be double digits. Either way, it's not going to be a very good environment, and I hope you're smart enough to take time to put it away. You know, I'm talking about gold, the thing that's hard. Right? You can't just go out and wish you had more. You can't go to a keyboard and enter in more money. You can't have the Treasury Secretary come out every 90 days and say, you know what, we're just going to start selling more debt. In 90 days, like, I'm going to sell some more debt. And you know what, more and more. What do you think's going to happen? We got a lot of farmers out there. We got a lot of people. If you aren't a farmer, you know a farmer. You understand supply and demand. I'll use the soybean example. Because of the tariffs, all of a sudden, there's a lot more soybeans in the United States right now. There just is. You ask your soybean farmer what's happened to the price, he'll tell you. It's gone way down. Why? Because we can't sell it. We got so much of it. We got too much of it. Same thing. It's the same. I know they try to tell you on the idiot box, oh, it's different. It's not different. Too many dollars means the price goes down. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, a daily commentary continuing the conservative pro-family legacy of Phyllis Schlafly. Now, the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
Across the country today, voters are headed to the polls to elect U.S. senators, representatives, state officials, and local government leaders. Our unique American experience in self-government can often be lost or seem diminished in the clamor of politics and culture, but we must remember our vital role, our duty, and our privilege as we the people. Phyllis Schlafly often used Election Day to remind her listeners of the differences between the political party ideologies. She exposed the ideas and values behind political rhetoric so people knew where the major parties stood. Today, Phyllis Schlafly Eagles continue that same mission. And while the rhetoric is louder than ever, the issues could never be more clear. Today, we fight for freedom itself. Freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of we the people. This year has been a stunning display of political correctness and unbridled liberal tribalism run amok. In the last month alone, mobs of protesters have harassed and assaulted private citizens and public figures. Antifa mobs have vandalized GOP headquarters like those in New York and promised more to come. Democrat leaders have endorsed and even incited more of that violence, calling for conservatives to be heckled, harassed, and run out of public places. CNN hosts and guests have publicly ridiculed and hurled racial slurs at black Americans who dare to criticize the Democrat Party. More and more media are willing to say whatever advances their agenda without even a whiff of truth. Good men are thrown in front of the stampede of unverified allegations, not out of a liberal desire for justice, but out of pure political gamesmanship. Today, you and I have a chance to take another step forward and away from this leftist mud pit of ideas. Recent polls show that nearly 80% of Americans think political correctness is a problem in this nation, and the number is even higher among minorities. Liberal hatred and slander are not the American way. Today is your chance to say so at the polls. Today you can vote for the agenda that has delivered on more promises than any political movement before it. Make your voice heard, not online or in the media, but at the ballot box.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Political correctness is no longer simply about restricting speech. This tool for tyranny has led to employees being fired, pastors silenced, small businesses closed, and truth suppressed. Thankfully, the politically correct can't censor the work at phyllisschlafly.com. Join us, won't you? At phyllisschlafly.com. And thanks for listening to the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
800-951-0592. Yesterday, we were running those Proof Gold Eagles. And we are running them at 13 and a quarter, and if you bought 5 or more at 1,300. We had 20 of them available. We still have 7 left. So let me tell you what we decided to do, and we started it on our program yesterday. We actually had 3 customers that didn't buy, or I'm sorry, 2 customers that didn't buy 5 or more. Those 2 customers, we're gonna give you the $1,300 price. So when you come in to pick up, and one of them's to pick up here, one of them's to pick up in Colorado. When you go to pick it up, we're either going to get $25 less, or you can get $25 in silver, or whatever you want to do. But I've got 7 of them left. All of them are at $1,300. Like I told you yesterday, we bought these from an estate, and here's how these estate sales work. Right? We put a bid in. They say yay or nay. If it's yay, you wire the money and the product comes. So they've got to be gone by today. So if we don't sell them today, I'm going to turn around and dump them back onto the wholesaler, and I'd rather sell them to you. So you think about gold, $1,230, $1,231, wherever gold is right now. Proof Gold Eagle in the box with the search. Listen, first year of issuance, all that stuff. $70 over. You know what's so funny is most of my career here, and most of you know this, I've been doing this for 15 years. We've been a company now, this is year 23. Normally, just the premium on a proof, 100 to 150, somewhere in there, that's normal. So I'd say about $125 over spot would be dealer cost. Right? And the dealers would sell proofs for $200, $300, unscrupulous dealers $400, $500 over the spot price. This would be something in normal markets. I could sell these wholesale and get, if gold was $1,230, probably get $1,300 to $1,325. So to have them available to you at this price, and again, this is kind of the sweet spot of the market, and we've talked about how 2018 is the year you wanted to accumulate. I'll use platinum as an example. I told you to buy it. Platinum broke $870 today. Just getting started. Right? A lot of you actually bought at that price already. Just getting started. This is another one that goes into these no-brainer categories. There's 7 of them left. 800-951-0592. Now, I know for a lot of you, hey, Joe, I don't got that kind of money. I get it. It's a lot. I got several hundred. These just came available. They're not even here yet. They just came available this morning. Several hundred 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles, right? The golden dime, right? Because they're the size of a dime. They're 1/10 of an ounce. Regular price is $149. 1 through 19, $145. If you buy 20 or more, $143 on the 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles. 800-951-0592. There is no backdate silver. Sorry. If you want silver, I can get it for you. $370 a roll, but that's just how it is. Listen, and I think, I don't know yet. Don't quote me yet. But the divergence between the backdates in 2018, that may be done already. So I'm not real confident that we're going to really have any backdates available for the rest of this year. My guess is it's going to be an early year for silver because the mint wasn't producing a lot of 2018s, and now all of a sudden here at the end of the year, demand's picked up. I wouldn't be surprised if it could be as early December that you'll have to wait till next year. So it just is what it is. But nonetheless, I got two great gold items. The Proof Gold Eagle. Wendy's got her hand up. You sold 4. Okay, you know what that means. I can do math on my hands on this one. There's 3 left. 1986 Proof 1 ounce American Gold Eagles in the box with the certs. I mean, they're awesome at $1,300. And then the 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles. Now, these aren't proofs. These are just your regular golden dimes, 1 through 19 at $145. Think about it, regular price, $149. If you buy 20 or more, $143 at 800-951-0592. And here's, let's face it, here's what I love about the 10th ounce. I have no idea what's going to happen. I tell you that. I don't know. I mean, there are some things I do know, right? The dollar is on we're in the late stages. It's on the decline. And I know where you're like, hey, what, the dollar rallied this year. Yes, but not because of things that were what I would call good reasons, right? We rallied because we blew up the debt. And that rally fades after people are like, well, wait, we don't get the growth. And already, fourth quarter's looking like maybe 3, probably a 2-something. Next year's going to be in the 2s. So it's not going to, when that, I guess, the glow fades on it. But I don't know. But here's what these 10th ounce, Eric used to call them the tank of fuel. Right, if you needed gas for the car, or you needed gas for the generators and all that stuff, this is fractional gold material. Those proofs are great. Buying an ounce of gold for $1,300 is always a good thing. Throw on there a proof and all that. Hey, okay, that's nice. Obviously, if it all went to you-know-what in the handbasket, no one would probably care about the pretty blue box and the cert. But it's a great way. I'd get some of both. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. Wendy has been flashing me the hand signals. She's giving me the number 1 sign. It's not the middle finger. I know most of the time that is the sign. But it looks like there's still a Proof Gold Eagle available. 800-951-0592. $1,300 on that. The 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles, the golden dime. This is, when you talk about fractional gold, this is it. As far as government hallmark stuff, like you could buy like a PAMP, or you could buy a 1-gram bar. But as far as government hallmark material goes, this is a 1/10 of an ounce is the smallest one that they make. They're normally $149. They've been on back order. Matter of fact, I've got 2 or 3 people still waiting for theirs, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and they finally hit. And I was able to buy in bulk, and I bought them all. Like I said, we have several hundred 10th ounce American Gold Eagles, 1 through 19. At $145, you buy 20 or more, $143. At 800-951-0592, and make sure get in here, get that last Proof Gold. Listen, I promise you, that's an incredible opportunity. Don't let them pass you by. There are, and again, we talked about rhodium, right? And of course now I'm thinking that As I told you now, rhodium, I'm a seller of rhodium, right? Rhodium is like $2,200. And it could go to $3,000 or $4,000. I don't know. Palladium, it's over $1,100. I'm a seller here, right? Because again, it's the Russia thing, the trade war thing, and it's back. That's an all-time record high. And I'll tell you this: if you want to sell your palladium, be prepared. You're going to get bid back a spot. I'm just going to let you know that I'm still a seller. Platinum, I told you, essentially $100 ago to buy it. Platinum's hard to get, very, very hard to get. Right now, when you're looking at the metals market, we had First Majestic on. Remember the clip I played last week from them? They are a major silver miner. So they've only got 2 mines that can make money above $14.50. Talked about how they're continuing to lay off, saying, hey, listen, there's actually a physical shortage. There's not enough mine supply to meet the demand. Right? So silver, I'm a buyer. Gold, I'm a buyer. Right? Because, again, I'm looking at the dollar as the key point in all of this, and then you look at supply and demand as the next point. Right? Silver, demand was way off, at least for investment. Silver, the industrial side, it's a juggernaut. Right? You need hundreds and hundreds of thousands of millions of ounces of silver a year. But now the investment side is back. At the same time, miners have cut production, so it's a buy. Gold. China's killing it. Right? Demand won't stop. And now go out to allamericangold.com. There's a great little interview talking about all these central bank buying that's coming seemingly out of nowhere. Countries that haven't bought gold in decades are buying. Demand continues to accelerate. And again, gold, same thing. Investment demand had fallen. Right? Trump won the election. People got excited in here. I should say demand fell in America. Demand is fantastic in Europe, in Asia, and Australia. But now a lot of you are kind of like, oh, wait a minute. How big is that deficit again? Right? And you're like, yeah, we got 1/4 of 4%, 1/4 of 3%, and that's probably about it. I don't know, this last quarter here, I've got my fingers crossed that we can get to 3, but don't bank on it. And then you start looking at demand for gold now back. Matter of fact, look, ETF inflows again, right? Rebounded again. Big inflows here last month. Same thing with production. Production declining all over the world. And part of it is because, listen, there's not that many good mines left. I mean, this is one of the things, like I said, the dollar is still the primary factor. Right? Wall Street, right? When Wall Street's crushing it, gold and silver are probably off. Right? And when Wall Street starts to lag or suffer, they usually do better. I mean, usually. I mean, that's real generic, but that's kind of how that goes. And we all know, and when I say all, most people know, hey, listen, this is about done here. It's a long rally, fueled by a lot of debt, and now with the raising of interest rates, look at how did it just come to a stop. Pending new home sales drop double digits. We already know about existing homes, right? And things are starting to cars, right? Ford, General Motors, they're all talking layoff. Put it away. There's a lot of positives as we get ready to enter into 2019. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. Again, I encourage all of you to get out and vote. If you're, I don't know if you're smart. If you're like me, I will say this. Anything that is a vote to increase my taxes is an automatic no. I think everybody's kind of like that. And seemingly, they're always passing. I don't get it. You know, the answer isn't more money. It's never the answer. But yet tell that to our elected officials, right? Because that's the only answer they have. The Federal Reserve, that's the only answer they have. You know, the Great Depression was all having to do with we just didn't spend enough money, which is nonsense. It was caused by male investment because they made money so cheap during the 20s, right? The booms and the bust, but this is what central banks do. Boom and bust, boom and bust, boom and bust. Here's the great thing about gold. It keeps you whole. What you could have bought 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. If you had it in gold, you can still buy it. We all know, and I tell all the stories about even if you put this money under the mattress. Could you imagine 1971? You put $42 under the mattress. And Richard Nixon gives this speech about we're closing the gold window. And you bought, at the time you couldn't buy a gold eagle, but let's just say you bought a Krugerrand for $42. And you forgot that you did it. And all of a sudden, here you are, you're now an old man, and for whatever reason, you're getting a new mattress. You flip up the mattress, and there's $42 and a Krugerrand. That Krugerrand's worth, what, $1,230 today? The $42? Well, $42. Right, it'll get you, won't even get you, let's face it, that's not even a good meal. Right, I think you could probably maybe, and I may be overstating here, take your wife to the Olive Garden and get a glass, have a meal and a glass of wine. You probably couldn't leave it a good tip for $42. That's what gold does. Just that simple. Right? Think about it today. If you put away one of those proof gold eagles for $1,300, and you put one of those and then $1,300 under your mattress, 30, 40, 50 years from now, well, probably my great-grandson, probably by then, my great-granddaughter is going to be on the air here saying, hey, for $1,300, you may be able to take your wife to the Olive Garden and have a meal and a glass of wine and leave a crappy tip. But if you have one of those proof gold eagles that my great-grandpa sold you, 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Take care. Everybody vote.